So, hello everyone. Welcome to Preschool Piano.
Mhm.
As I said before, I'm Dorla, and I'm here with my good friend and colleague, Mindy. And we're both really passionate about helping teachers feel confident about
Mhm.
teaching preschoolers.
Mhm.
And yes, even those, you know, tiny 4 and 5 year olds that some of us can be scared about sometimes. But what you'll witness here today is a sample of our curriculum that has been carefully crafted to serve the young pianist. And that's a population between 4 and 8. We
Mhm.
call it Pyramid Explorers, and it is designed to prepare young students to be ready to join a multi level ensemble class when they turn 8.
So today we are going to be sharing with you a lesson plan that has been modeled after our curriculum, Pyramid Explorers. And we're going to be able to show you how fun and doable and just realistic this can be for this age group. So we're going to use this lesson plan as the base of our webinar today. Dorla and I will actually be teaching you as if you were a group of 4-year-olds. But after each section in the lesson plan, we're going to have a chance to stop and talk about it and ask questions if you have any. Um, and then just wanted to point out that we're not going to be reading directly from the lesson plan, but if you have the lesson plan open on a second device or if you're able to print it quickly, you'll be able to follow along and see how the flow of matches up with the lesson plan. And then we do have student pages at the end of the lesson plan that you'll be able to print off and use with your students.
So while you download or print, we'd like to introduce you to one of our Pyramid Explorer teachers, Carol Wallace. She's brand new to Piano Pyramid, but she's just been going full throttle. And Carol, will you briefly share with us your experience with Pyramid Explorers while the teachers download their copy?
Yes, yes. Yes, I am. I began with Pyramid Explorers very loosely in August, and well, not loosely, loosely sort of in July. And then as I got people enrolled, began at the beginning of the school year. And I think what we decided I should share today is just mostly my 4 and 5-year-old experience, although I will say across the curriculum, it's been incredible. And all the kids have had such new levels of participation and creativity. It's been great. So I never thought I've heard people say you shouldn't teach people below the age of 7 for piano. And I thought that's probably true, but every once in a while I would take the occasional, what seemed like a ready 5 or 6 year old, or maybe 6 year old, and I started tiptoeing backwards. And so I didn't want to touch 4 year olds. And I felt like when Pyramid Explorers came out, I looked at, first of all, how the older pyramid explorers were working and how amazing that was. And it really gave me the confidence to look at level A for 4 and 5 year olds. And that gave me just the feeling like, oh, these are ideas that would work for this age. I don't have to figure out how to put it into doable bits. And so it's been incredible just seeing how quickly those ideas have resonated with the students. They just love putting little erasers on those black keys and singing the songs. They love singing along. And one of my students was very, very shy here, but not shy at home, apparently. And boy, when she finally started singing and started playing what she apparently had been playing all along at home, just to watch her make that leap in socialization and in being able to collaborate with a musician outside of the house was so thrilling. Yeah, so I'm just at the beginning of my journey. I've had 3 4-year-olds and I think 3 5-year-olds this year. And this summer, like one of y'all had said, making the leap in the summer. This summer, I'm planning to put them together and inviting others in. So I'm very excited.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, thank you.
Welcome.
So if you have those of you that just came in, there's a link in the chat where you can download the lesson that we're going through, and there's about 20 pages there for you to enjoy. And we'll go through that. But that very first page should be the cover of our books. Just so you have an idea, we have Primer A, Primer B, Primer C, and D, ages 4 to 8. So,
Right?
yes, yeah, that page. Okay, so let's start with goals for this age. We're not here to teach young children to play the piano in a traditional sense. That is something that, as piano teachers, we need to absorb and understand and be willing to change if we want it to work. Our approach aims to build musicians that are confident, curious, creative thinkers who happen to play the piano. So there's much more that is encompassed in the goals that we have, even though we're doing this at the piano. And the reason that I like to do it this way is because I am understanding what the parents want. The parents want their kids at the piano. They just want them to have that experience. But we know that there's certain things that they're not ready to do yet. So this is a way that we have decided that we'll do both things. Okay, so if you go to the page 4, goals for the Piano Pyramid Explorers, you'll see that Primer A, our goal is to match pitch, follow directions, learn keyboard geography, and introduce them to technique. This takes time, and we have to repeat over the years. Okay. Now, when we go to Primer B, ages 5 and 6, we still have those same goals. The only difference there is in italics. And we're going to play songs by rote with a more extensive use of fingers. So ages 4 and 5, we were just using one finger, finger 3, and that open, relaxed hand. That's not going to happen in the first lesson. They'll be doing this, and they get very tense. And our job is to remind them to float that hand, to have it very loose, and we only play with that middle finger. In ages 5 and 6, they're ready to do a little bit more, and so they use more fingers. In Primer C, we still have the same goals, but now we're going to concentrate on a 5-note range. So they begin playing 5-finger scales, and then they learn to track the music in their book away from the piano. If they do it at the piano, that is okay, but that is not our goal. Our goal is to do that away from the piano and then still play by rote. And then Primer D, we still have all of those things that we've mentioned, plus we're gradually going to introduce note reading and developing the independence of all 5 fingers in both hands. And now the students are using their books to read the music. And so notice how this is taking us 4 books to get to note reading. Okay, that's a long time. But in this long time, what has happened is that we've made a foundation. We've put a foundation in place. And the students and the parents can see that. The kids are at the piano. We have built a foundation at home of how to practice. And these are all things that are just going to grow instead of starting them when they're 10 years old. And then that's going to be just a bigger battle. So let's go ahead and see how the Explorer lessons are designed to meet all of these goals.
All right. So I'm looking at page 6 in your handout, and this is a page that is before every single lesson plan in our Pyramid Explorers curriculum. We wanted to have a way for teachers to really be able to see at a glance what the goals are, what you're going to need to be able to teach that class, and things that you're going to need to gather teaching tools to help you. So I'm not going to read through the goals. The Navigator's musical toolkit is generally the song that you're going to be teaching, or any other songs that you need to be able to sing for the kids. So those are good to learn the words ahead of time. And then you're going to see on the equipment essentials what you're going to need for this specific lesson. So I'm on page 7 right now, and our first lesson is about high sounds. So I'm going to now go into teacher mode, and I am going to say welcome everybody to our Pyramid Explorers class. I'm so glad that we can all be on this journey together as we explore music and learn new things. Will you raise your hand if you know what a pyramid is? Oh, good. Some people know pyramids. I have a picture of a pyramid right here. And these are pyramids in Egypt. Pyramids are these cool 3D triangles that were used to bury kings and royalty and people that were really important. And they were often buried with all of their important belongings and treasures. Well, somebody discovered this, and it has been, for many, many hundreds of years, people have gone to the pyramids in Egypt to discover treasure. Now, we are not going to an actual pyramid. That would take us a very long time, but we are going to discover musical treasures this year together, and I'm so excited that we can be pyramid explorers together. Now, when we sit down at the beginning of each class, we're going to be seated here in a circle, just like we are right now, and we're going to sing a welcome song. I'm going to sing it for you right now, and I would like you to listen. And when you hear the name of our class, will you please put your hands on your head so that I know you heard? Oh, my piano just turned off. Sorry. Dorla, you're going to need to put the URL to the kit again in the chat. Okay. We are here today to explore. Pyramid explorers, here we come. Good job. We are here today to explore. Come along with me. I'm so glad you know the name of our class. I only used it one time, but you were good listeners, and I love that you were able to hear me sing that. Now, Pyramid Explorers are going to explore, so the next thing I need you to listen for is the word explore. And whenever I say the word or sing the word explore, I need you to just hold a finger up, okay? We are here today to explore. Pyramid explorers, here we come. We are here today to explore, or that, or whatever. Come along with me. Good job, everybody. So we're Pyramid Explorers. We're going to be exploring, and we're going to use this as a welcome song. So now I'm going to sing it, and I'm going to use each of your names, and I need you listening for somebody else's name. You can see if you can tell me somebody else's name at the end of the song, okay? And this time as you're listening, I'd like you to take your hands and I'd like you to keep the beat on your legs as I sing, and you're going to be listening for somebody else's name that you can tell me at the end of the song, okay? Dorla's here today to explore. Pyramid explorers, here we come. Carol's here today to explore. Come along with me. And you would repeat this for as many kids as you have in the class, and then engage them in a conversation to see if they remember anybody else's name. And this is a way for them to get to know each other. Every other lesson, we would finish, come along with me, bum, bum, and getting them to be comfortable hearing those two different tonalities. We also, if you're looking at page 7, we have checkpoints all along the way. These are exploration checkpoints. This is a way for you to evaluate how well your kids are doing and if they're meeting markers or what other things you're going to need to pay attention to as you move throughout the year.
Are there any questions about this section?
think we're good.
Alrighty. So now comes the Explorer training. I'm on page 8. Above page 8, you see the piano adventure tune that Mindy just sang. And now I'm going to bring out my parachute. And this could be chaotic, but it can be a lot of fun too. I'm sorry if it makes a lot of noise. I'm going to try to keep it quiet. But the first thing I do is to have a protocol for how we're going to handle the parachute. So we have handles here. If you don't have a parachute, you can use a sheet, and you'll tell them how you want them to use it. But my parachute has 9 handles, so I could have 8 students and myself. And if you have less students, then you give them 2 handles, and maybe you'll have to have a part of it without. It doesn't matter. The thing is that we're going to listen to some music. We're going to move to the music. Now, this instrument that you will hear is a recorder, and it has very, very high pitch. What we're going to do is when we hear that very high pitch, we're going to stand up and dance. When all of while the instruments are playing together, we're going to sit down and listen. Okay? So I want you to pretend that you're holding on to a parachute, and I'm not going to stand up because I will trip over this little space I have here, but I'm going to do it just right here in my chair. And I just make sure the students are ready to, quiet, listen. We are beginning sitting down. We're still in the circle and we're sitting. We're holding on to the parachute, and they just have to watch me to know when to stand up. I know as soon as the music starts, they're going to want to stand, but we're going to try to stay seated. Can you hear okay? Will you move with me? So we're going to stand slowly and lift, lift, lift. We're going to sway. Side to side. Sit down. Then we stand again. Lift, lift. Okay, you get the idea. This particular piece, and you have the link there in your handout, is pretty long. It is about 3 minutes and 37 seconds. That could be a little long for your class, but that's okay. You can cut it down if you need to redirect the children. And maybe when you repeat this on another day, they'll have the focus to do it longer. But don't be worried that they didn't complete the whole thing or that it fell apart. Let's listen to a little bit more of it, just because I need to I want you to have that tonality and that rhythm in your mind. Okay, we have finished. We're still holding on to the parachute, and I'm going to say, please be my echo, and I'd like you teachers to echo me also. I'm going to say ba 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 ba.
Ba 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 ba.
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 Ba ba.
Ba.
Okay. And those are the triple rhythm patterns that it mentions to um, repeat. I mean, echo, have the children echo. They probably won't do it at the beginning. They'll just be like, what is she doing with ba, 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 ba? So,
But maybe one will.
well, yeah, there's always one that wants to do it with you too.
That's true.
But the reason we want to incorporate the tonal and the rhythm patterns, in this case, we were doing a movement, so we're adding these rhythm patterns that are on page 9 for you. So we've experienced the music through movement, and we're going to break it down a bit by chanting these short rhythm patterns. Now, this helps the students begin to understand the language of music, what we call the music vocabulary. Just like children learn to speak by hearing language and imitating language, we're giving them the tools they'll hear later to use to improvise and create. So at first I simply ask them to listen and move, and I might invite them to echo, but I'm never concerned if they don't echo out loud, because often they're saying it in their minds, just listening. If any of them has a high rhythm understanding or high rhythm IQ, they'll be already audiating in their mind. And they'll go home and they'll start imitating what we have done and what they have heard in class. The piece we moved to, the concerto in C major for Flautino, is in triple meter. That is why I did triple rhythm patterns. So this is all about building that internal vocabulary. And Carol says she likes to use a toy microphone. Yes, they seem to know immediately that means when it's their turn, yes. And with the 4-year-olds, it just depends on the combination of students that you have. Sometimes you have those students that you just put a microphone in their face and they know what to do. Sometimes you have shy children and they won't. And what I like to do first is to have them echo as a group. And then I will ask, do any of you want to do it as a solo? And then you'll always see in our lesson plans, it tells you when to do the rhythm patterns and when to do tonal patterns. Okay? Any questions about that? All right, Mindy.
Okay, so we've sung our welcome song. We've had a little bit of a movement activity, and we're still seated on the floor together or at a table, whatever makes sense with your workflow. And now we're going to get them ready to learn the song by rote. So I am looking right now on page 10. In the teacher guide, we do provide little copies of what the kids will be seeing in their books. But you know, I'm gonna use a full-size page here to demonstrate today. I do have a copy of a student book that I use for this, so that I've got my copy and the kids have their copies. So I have a copy of a song today we're going to be learning called Flying to the Stars. And to get ready to play this song, I am going to take one of these cutouts of a recorder, which is the instrument we just heard, and I'm going to cover up each of the 2 black keys. I'm not asking them to do this, I am demonstrating for them. And then I'm going to tell them, can you hold your hand up like this? Can you wiggle little finger? Maybe they can, maybe they can't. This is the finger that we're going to be using to play today. Now can you let your hand flop over? Good job. This is the kind of hand we're going to use to play today. So I'm going to be using my middle finger, and I am going to be focusing on, I'm going to start here on these 3 black keys. And I'm going to play Flying to the stars, flying to the stars, here we go. All right, now you may notice that we're moving in 3 different octaves. I did not sing in 3 different octaves. I am not that vocally capable, so I just continue to sing the same pitches that they're going to see. And I will do this so that they can see the keyboard and I'm doing it upside down, and they're able to watch my hand and they're able to hear me me go. So now I will hand out, or I will open their books, or you can give them their copy of this music, and you'll give them a set of 3 of these little recorder cards. Those are on page 11 of your lesson plan, ready for you to print and cut and have for your students. And you're going to ask them to copy your card, your page. Can you put each of your recorder pieces on your 2 black keys? When their page looks like mine, then we're going to try singing again. Now they've only heard the song once. Probably they're not going to be able to sing it. So what I may do is just sing it for them again. Flying to the stars, flying to the stars, here we go. I may play some games with them where I'm asking them to listen for different things again. I like to try to repeat a song several times before I ask them to do it, and they like those listening games. So you know your students best, and that's what you're going to do here. So you may want to ask them to try to sing it with you several times. You may want to ask them to take turns each doing it for each other. The idea is trying to get them to repeat so that they're able to execute this song when you get to the next step. Are there any questions about that? Okay, Dorla.
The next step is doing it at the piano. So I invite the students to come to a central piano. And this is where I want you to notice how this can be done with only one piano in your classroom, provided you don't have 24-year-olds, because that won't work. But I usually have 6 to 8, and I can coddle them here around me. And I have now recorder cards that are a little bigger, and those are in your plan also. And I'm just demonstrating at the piano, and I'm going to cover up the 2 black keys, starting with treble, not middle, but treble. Now you'll notice that you have 4 sets of 3 black keys left. We couldn't fit that into our paper keyboard, so we're only using 3 sets. So whether you start here or here, it doesn't matter. If you have 3 left over there, that's not the point of doing this activity. The point of doing this activity is to work on their floppy hand, play with 1 finger. We want them to be able to sing and to be able to copy what we're doing. So I'm going to show them how to do this. Flying to the stars, flying to the stars, here we go. And I'll do that maybe twice. Make sure they're watching. Then I'll invite them to do it. And they'll just stand right here in front of me. I'll ask everybody else to sing with us. And I'll just, sometimes I have to help them open their hand, remind them, use just that middle finger. But everyone gets to play at one time for me. And everyone else is collaborating by singing. Yes, you will have that student that is going to act silly, that wants to go under the piano, that wants to play over here while we're working over here. Yes, that is what 4-year-olds do. And if you're okay with not being frustrated and just repeating, and having them learn what you expect from them in class, you're going to be okay. It's going to be just fine. They are still learning, because our objective is not a performance, but for them to learn these different goals that we mentioned at the beginning. So it's always going to be easier to manage. Don't give up. 4 and 5-year-olds are not created right now at this age to be still. All right. Any questions about the piano part?
Great.
All righty. I got it.
Okay. All right, so now I'm on page 14 of our lesson plan, and we are going to move from the central piano to the floor again or the table, and we are going to complete an explorer page. Now, explorer pages have various purposes. The primary one is to help them in their fine motor skill development, and that is one of my absolute favorite things about the 4-year-olds is watching them come in and just not even be able to hold a pencil well, or not being able to stay in the lines or whatever, and just watching over the course of the year how much their motor skills improve and how much more dexterous they're able to be. So a lot of times the Explorer pages are going to be theory in disguise of play, and sometimes we're just looking for basic skills. Now, we're using high and low for our lesson today. It's going to require some pattern discernment for 2 and 3 black keys. So we're just going to do a quick patterning page where they're going to trace the shapes and then continue the pattern in the other boxes. I didn't print one of those off to hold up and show you, but you can see it there on page 14, and then it's probably on page 48 in your student pages. That you can use this page to take as little or as much time as you need. You can also encourage your students to complete this at home if you don't have enough time in class. But generally what I find is the kids are able to at least complete it, and there are usually some kids who are super fast, and I have to be ready with a level up for them. And so while one kid is over here just very meticulously tracing and somebody's already gone like blah, 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 I'll just say, all right, can you color those shapes and can you create a pattern with colors? There's always going to be the one kid that likes to do everything in rainbow, and that will take up a really big chunk of time. So you got to be mindful of the clock and what you still have left to do. But generally this is a really fun time, and it's another way to engage them, and you don't have to have disruption in your classroom. That's all I was going to say about that.
All righty. Now 30 minutes have passed in our preschool piano class. No, it's not always going to go smoothly. And what happens in my class, it goes really quick. And sometimes we don't get to finish that Explorer page in class. And I just tell them, you can finish it at home, no worries. But now it's time for the parents to come in. And I invite the parents, and I'm on page 15. I know for some teachers it's difficult to have other adults in the class. You don't like that. I was one of those people, but I had to get over it. And the tradition is in my early childhood classes, the parents come in for the last 15 minutes. So that's how I've composed this, because this is where the parents learn how to engage with their students, with their children at home. This is where the parents learn what happens in class. What are we learning? Is she just babysitting my kids? And number 3, this is where the parents learn how to help them in class. I do not want my classes to be just a drop off and then a pickup, because that's easy then for them to say, oh, we're not going to do piano this year. But if the parents come into the class and they learn the value of what's happening and how we learn a new song each week, and how we're working on technique and on singing and on taking turns and all of these skills that would not only help them in school but in life, I want them to appreciate all of this value. So when the parents come in, because I have multiple pianos, every student is assigned to a piano, and then I have high stools that the parents sit beside them. And I introduce the topic for the unit, which is high and low. Then I repeat step 2 only of the Piano Explorer lesson, which was what we did here at the piano. So exactly what I did here, I do while the parents are there. And then now the parents know how that song is going to be practiced. In our Primer A books, which is for 4 and 5-year-olds, there's also a QR code where the parents, when they get home, if they don't remember what to do, then there's a practice video to remind them what they have to do for each song. And then if there's time, if your class is longer, my class is 45 minutes, 30 minutes the children and myself, 15 minutes the parents join. Some teachers have longer lessons, so if you need more activities, then you can look at page 17, and I've given you 2 more activities that you can do. You can explore the beat, and that's where we can play a different instrument, a rhythm instrument, or you can explore improvisation. Your first improvisation is going to be quite, out there, because they haven't learned that vocabulary. But the more you do the patterns, like we did at the beginning with ba 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 ba. Now, when we go to the piano and I can tell them, this is in triple meter, and we've done ba 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 ba. You can play that on the piano on just 2 black keys while I play an accompaniment in triple meter, and it's gonna sound good. But first we have to wait for them to learn that vocabulary. But those are 2 more activities that you can add to your lesson, or to when the parents come in. You can add that there also.
Awesome. So after what am I trying to say here? After you're done with that section, we're ready to close the class, and we're going to do that with a goodbye song. Again, if this is the first class, nobody's going to know the goodbye song. So we're going to break it down into small pieces over the first unit so that by the end of the unit, they can sing the entire goodbye song. And that goodbye song that we use is on page 16 for you. But this is the first class, so we're just going to sing the very first 8 measures. Okay? So I'm going to sing goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye to all our friends. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye to all our friends. I'm going to ask what they noticed, and maybe they noticed that I'm tapping my lap. I'll encourage them to join me in tapping so they can fill those rests. And they'll jump in. I'll sing it again, and we'll jump in. Parents will probably be singing before the kids because it's an easy song, easy patterns to discern there. And then before I send my families out the door, I do like to remind them about the Exploring at Home page, which is at the bottom of page 15. This is a student page that has it's kind of like a practice chart. It's the assignments, the things that they can work on, and then the ways that they can track that. So we've got cute little animated objects for them to color for each unit. They can color, in this case, a little fox every time that they play their song at home. I also let mine color a fox if they have completed their Explorer page at home, because we do have extra pages in the book for the parents to do with their children at home. And then there's usually some kind of another level up here. What else can you do when it's the second day and we now can play the song really well and it's now turning boring? And so in this case, we are going to teach somebody else how to play it and take turns playing with them, and that can be a way to enrich their at-home music making. I find it really important to point this out to the parents because for those that are definitely engaged in keeping the music going at home, it's a great way for them to be remembered, be reminded about what we're doing, and just kind of track it. I always tell my students when we're using practice charts to fill in when we're practicing, it's not good or bad, it's just information. So if you're starting to notice that you're only getting 2 or 3 days a week of practice and you want to get more, then you can take a look at your schedule and say, well, how could I get more? Or if you're like, nope, three's good for us, 3 is about what we can do, then that's great, that's information. So And then, we send them out the door with smiles, and then we wait for them to come back with smiles as well.
I wanted to mention that on page 18 for the improvisation, we always give you an accompaniment. If you don't want to improvise yourself, just make something up, we always give you an accompaniment. And also there is do we have MP3s for the
For this one, we do.
okay. I don't remember what
I
is
don't
on.
remember where it is.
No, it is in a QR code in the book, not in the sample we gave today. But there are recordings for if you don't want to play, if you want to just walk around the room and help them out, then you can have the recording playing. Yeah. So the way that we have structured our whole year, I want you to think about, we're going to spend the whole year working on those 4 things that I mentioned at the beginning, which were technique, following directions, singing on pitch, and one more that I don't remember because it's not in front of me. But our goal is not how many songs we're going to be able to play. Yes, my students play at recital because the parents want them on stage taking pictures. So I say, of course, choose one of the songs from this book. And the kids love it because they already know those songs. So it's nothing, the parents don't care what they play, at least in my community. They just want the pictures. They want the experience. And so I try to give them a beautiful experience. But the way that we have structured all of our, those 4 goals that we're working on through the whole year for 32 weeks is 3 lessons like the one that we've done here. So we have a new song, new song, new song. 3 new songs. We do not, at least I do not ask the children to play for me every week. I don't ask, have you practiced? I don't ask to see their homework. They come and tell me, oh, Miss Dorley, I didn't finish my homework. I'm like, I'm okay. Because on those days when I need them to have something to do, they can open their book and finish the things that they haven't finished. But I want them to have favorite songs that they play over and over again. And that is okay. So we do have different songs every week because we want to have that variety at home. We don't want them to be bored and say, I already know how to play that. So whether they learn the song or not, we are giving them a new song, and we're not listening to other older songs unless they want to play them for you. Okay? 3 songs, and so that's 3 weeks. And the 4th week, we have a musical celebration. This is amazing. We're going to learn music history, modern music history. And for celebration, all I do is call it a celebration. I don't provide anything special. Sometimes I'll bring them a balloon if I remember. And because I have candy for the older kids, they might get a candy that day. The other days I give them apples and oranges. But they get so excited because it's celebration day, and it's just because I'm excited about it. But we just have a different class where we don't learn to play any song, but Mindy's going to tell us the wonderful things that we do at Music Celebration.
It just takes one. Am I right, Carol? It just takes one, and then this becomes something that they really, really look forward to. Families look forward to it. I love inviting the families of the Pyramid Explorers to come in. I've been doing music celebrations this week, and I'm seeing younger siblings come in and parents taking off work to come in because they like this particular musician that we're learning about. It's just a great way to foster community in your studio. And for those that like to bring the younger siblings, it's like free marketing. They experience it. They look forward to being their turn when they can be in these classes. So the musical celebrations, there's a unique one that follows every single unit. They all follow the exact same format. So the first thing we do is introduce the musician with a picture book. I am a picture book junkie. I love teaching with picture books. I know not everybody is, and I know not everybody has robust library systems that they can tap into if you were to download a Kindle version and just show it on a device. So for every single one of these musical celebrations, I have found a YouTube video of somebody reading the book to the kids. So that's a really low cost way to include the book. But I love the book because it introduces the musician, and it very often refers back to their childhood and what kind, thanks Carol, and what kind of influence music had in their lives. The parents love the picture books too. Yeah, and Marie's got one. Awesome. I will open the book and start reading, and will watch adults put their phones away and pay attention. So there's just magic in the storytelling. Then I always like to let the class see the musician in action. A very common question when you finish reading a story is, are they still alive? Yes, yes, they are. Where possible, I try to find a kid-friendly performance by that musician, Muppet Show or Sesame Street or something like that. But we will watch a YouTube video of the musician performing. And then I want to have them move because they've been sitting for a long time. And even though a book captures their attention and a screen captures their attention, it's time to move. So we listen to a piece of music by that musician and we move. We might do body percussion, we might do scarves, we might make up a dance. One of my favorite ones, Carol, have you done Stevie Wonder yet? Oh my goodness, seeing little 4-year-olds do 50s or 60s and 70s dance moves was priceless. You know, they're like little hips are going and they're like, doing the swim and everything. It was fantastic. And parents join in too. The parents enjoy moving with their kids as much as the kids enjoy moving. And sometimes there are ways to get the parents involved, like mirror dancing, where I'll start with the kids and I'll tell the kids to go find a partner from their family that they can do this with. So they're listening, they're being exposed to the musician, but they're having fun. After we do that, then we do a coloring page that ties back to the musician and we listen to more music from that musician. So if I've done my job right, your kids should be exposed to 3 or 4 songs by this musician that they may not be familiar with. And then we finish our musical celebration by celebrating our Pyramid Explorers. And every lesson plan has 3 options for you, just kind of based on how things have gone in your studio during the unit. One option is to have an improvisation activity where you can invite families. You can stick as many people on a piano as you've got room for them, and you're going to provide an accompaniment and some brief instructions and let people take turns creating and improvising. A second option is to help the parents learn how to create a duet with any of the songs that their Pyramid Explorers have been playing that unit, simply by using the tonic and the dominant in half notes, just going back and forth between 2 notes, and it elevates their kids' performance. They think it's super cool, and if you give them a few minutes to work that out, then they can perform for the rest of the class and everyone leaves all smiles. The third option is I don't usually see this happen until about 4 months in, is to give the Pyramid Explorers an opportunity to perform their favorite song from that unit. And sometimes it's the same, sometimes it's different, but they love being able to play and be clapped for. And it's just really safe environment as we're all together as family and friends. And it's not as many people as they would have if they were going to a recital. So the big question I often have from families is like, oh, so we didn't actually learn a song, so what are we supposed to practice? So if you look at page 37 of your lesson plan, at the bottom of the blurb about what a musical celebration is, you'll see a page that looks very similar to what we've been pointing out at the end of class the previous 3 weeks. But this is what we're calling an Explorer Showcase. And we are telling families that we aren't teaching a new song this week. We want your child to practice performing in safe ways for them. So if kids can perform on their terms, they're going to have a much better relationship with performance and not develop performance anxiety than if they're being forced into it every single time. So there's generally the same little character that they can color, and you can have them color one for every person that they play for. It's a great way to involve grandparents who may be out of state. You can have their student can Zoom and play for their grandparents, or if they have friends coming over, they can play for their friends and color in those little animals or objects or whatever it is. And they get excited about that. So, and it's a great way to review and help the parents realize that there's value in reviewing, not we don't always have to be learning. So those are our musical celebrations. Is there anything you want to add, Dorla?
Yes. The musical celebrations, we have modern, and I say modern because they're not Bach, Beethoven, and Mozart. They're modern musicians. So we have Stevie Wonder, we have Elton John, we have Ella Fitzgerald. And okay, you get the idea. And the one that we have in this starter kit is Taylor Swift. I know nothing. I'm going to have to go learn about Taylor Swift. Oh my goodness. But the rest of the lessons that go with this is just lesson 1 that we are sharing with you. If you decide that this is something you want to do, you can get the complete unit, which is 2 more lessons plus the Taylor Swift musical celebration. So I just wanted to mention that. And then there's a coupon if you get that between now and Sunday, which Mindy will put in the chat because I don't remember what that coupon is.
Actually, I will send it out with the replay if that's okay.
Yeah, okay, perfect. And then the student pages that you see starting after that musical celebrations page. These are the actual pages that go with this lesson that you would give your students. And you see on page 50, that would be the page that we assign for them to do at home. So there's always an Explorer page at home. There's always a list of things that parents can see that this is what we need to do every week. We invite the parents to join the class. So there's a lot of parental involvement. And it's worked really well for us. And, even if you don't use our materials, if you can grasp the ideas of changing your mindset to your goal not being one of learning to play a certain amount of songs to perform, but learning at the piano to become a musician, a creative musician, to learn the vocabulary of music and to love music. That is how we're going to be able to keep our profession alive, is that we have people who love music and want to continue learning music. And Mindy, do you have anything else to say? We have 6 minutes left.
No, we've loved being here with you today. Were there any big surprises in anything that we went through? For those of you that may have seen our curriculum before, do you do it differently than we do? The idea is that as long as we're following the framework, you can still infuse your own teaching style into all of these. You do not have to be robots or carbon copies of Dorla and I. But we do feel like everything is important in the order that we give it. Yes, go ahead, Karen. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Hey, this is a different type of question because I have been teaching single lessons and I have done some group lessons with the kids that I have, but I've changed making one of my rooms in my home. I've gotten some keyboards and it's in another room, like a bedroom, but that's close by, there at the house. I'm making it a music room. But for the little kids, okay, when they do the paper, does somebody have some tips? Like, would you have them turn their seat, like use their stool, the keyboard stool to write? Or I think in little kids because I'm starting some this summer, would clipboards might be kind of, you know, unless you already had the page on there, or I'm thinking, because I don't know if I have room for a table in to make, because I want to leave the middle of the room to get together.
Open.
Yeah, I
So
do.
you've got your keyboards around the outside.
Yeah, I
I
do.
have,
I do.
yes, I've done that before with that layout, and the middle of the room is fine to just sit on the carpet and do our pages and do our
But
circle.
if they're doing the page and it's not in the book though.
Right.
Um,
So clipboard would probably be a good way to do that.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I do that with, especially in the musical celebrations, because we do not, when you buy the curriculum, you get the music celebrations, but they're not in the book because we have 3 years of musical celebrations for you to switch. So then that coloring page, what I do is before class, I just put them in the clipboard and have it ready.
I have it ready.
Yeah,
Okay.
just have it ready
So I
and
was
it works
curious
fine.
what other people might have done in a
Yeah.
room,
Yeah, and before I used clipboards, I had books from my library I would just have ready. Yeah,
Mhm.
but that works fine.
Awesome. Jennifer, you had a great question about parental involvement. Does it ever become an issue if some parents don't participate and others do? No, that is on the parents. If they choose not to come in and help their kids for the last 10 minutes, then they can use the videos that we provide so they can help at home. I know it is an issue for some parents. Some parents that have got little kids that they don't want to leave alone in the car or have to bring into the studio with them. I do have classes where my parents don't come in, or I'll have one or two parents come in. It's not a humongous issue. The kids are still having a great time learning, and there's still ways that the parents can support their kids at home. Every once in a while, I'll just remind them. Remember, you've got your Explore page at home that you can do. We've got QR codes that take you to the song so you can help your kid practice. And don't forget to color in the pineapples or whatever it is that week. So you don't want to make them feel guilty about it. Just everybody's going to be able to do what they can do.
Mindy, there's Ray is saying that concerns about parents coming in, and somebody else also mentioned that they want to visit with each other instead of participate. I don't know how you handle that. I'm a little more strict. Like, we're not friends when you come into my studio. I'm very kind with you, but if you come here, if you start talking with, I'm going to tell you to stop talking. I mean,
You have to train the parents, basically,
exactly,
too.
exactly.
So if you don't tell them anything, then they will, it's like water,
Continue to do
picking the
that.
path of least resistance. But if you're like, here is a chair, I need you to sit by your student, and
Hmm.
I'd like you to try doing what your student is doing. Can you have your floppy hand and using finger three? Can you two play it together? Kid, can you
Exactly.
teach your parent how to do it? You got to, it's almost like they're 4-year-olds too. You got to train them and tell them what you want them to do to be successful.
Definitely. Yes. And Mindy's much more nicer than I am.
That's what you think.
Oh, we have 1 minute left. Yes, go ahead, Jennifer.
Dorla, I think when I spoke with you in the past about parents, I think you suggested to put a sign up on your door so the
Hmm.
parents can see that this is like a working
Yes.
classroom and to please be respectful and everything, which I've been meaning to do and I haven't. So now I have parents sitting there on their phones, and
Yep.
sometimes like the video goes on and my whole class just, and just completely diverts their attention. So I've been meaning to reiterate and do what you suggested. So
So that thank you, Jennifer, for reminding me of that. Yes, I have a tiny waiting room, and I have a sign there that says something about you're welcome to join the class. I'm glad you're here, but you need to be quiet. So nobody's talking in the in the waiting room. And then when you come into class, I have another one on the wall that says no talking, and like a face with a circle and and yeah, and I'm very businesslike. This is what we're going to do, and I don't waste their time either. So they already know, they come in, they do, and yeah, signs are on the wall are excellent. Yes.
Okay, Sherry, I have a question for you about your question. Are you talking about the lesson book not the purple one, the pink one? My first piano adventures. Okay. I don't know, Dorla, you tell me what you think, but I would say, what book would you put them in? It would be the one that corresponds to their age.
Right. Right. Um,
So if you've got
that
7-year-olds that are finishing that one, put them in the primer D, and that's where they'll start reading music. If you've got, 4 or 5-year-olds, then just put them in the Pyramid Explorer that goes with their age.
mhm, mhm. Yes.
Awesome.
All righty. Thank you, teachers, for spending this hour with us. And yeah, clapping to you too. They stayed the whole time.
It's been
But
lovely being with all of you.
yeah, and know that we're always here to answer your questions, and we hope you can incorporate many of these ideas into your lessons and just continue building wonderful musicians. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
y'all.